Hello and welcome to Haptik Customer First, presented by CNBC TV18.com. With the new COVID variant Omicron, the Indian travel and tourism industry, which was hoping for revival after being hit by the pandemic for almost 2 years, is again on a wait and watch mode. Will this new variant push businesses to further evolve and navigate even more strongly against the disruptions it may cause? The customer experience, in fact, has already changed in the post-pandemic world. Customers have been at the forefront of business growth and are one of the key enablers as their expectations evolve almost every day. The intervention of conversational AI and ML has taken front seat in an attempt to make customer experiences richer and seamless. Haptik is one of world's largest conversational AI companies and has successfully handled over 4 billion interactions to the date. In this special series, we look at stories of businesses that have navigated the digitization wave successfully, all the while making customer service their top priority. Today, we speak to Nikhil Godbole, Vice President Customer Care at Cleartrip.com. Nikhil, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shibani, for having me on the show. Looking forward for our chat.
Nikhil, first of all, the pandemic has severely impacted the travel and the tourism industry, but we have also seen the industry, fight back. Can you share with us, with this new variant coming in, like what has been the impact of the pandemic on the industry, and how is it, how are you planning to navigate it?
So I would say that pandemic is no longer a new thing which we have to deal with, and we've been watching this for last 1.5 years now. Of course, initially we had very less information around that and how to tackle it, but thanks to our vaccination program within the country, outside the country, we see a lot of confidence getting back into the industry, routes which are opening on a daily basis. Of course, with the new variant coming in, there is a bit of a speculation around that, but we don't see direct impact as such on the volumes at this point of time. But it's too early to actually comment on that. We might have to wait and watch. Like the way we did it like 1 year back. Of course, that time things were different, but this time we seem to be much well prepared to tackle this situation.
Okay. Also, Nikhil, there was and there is still an added pressure that the pandemic puts on travel companies with respect to compliance and endless change in mandates from the government, which has also made things difficult for you and businesses in this sector to function. What were the biggest challenges that you faced?
The initial days of the pandemic, wherein flights suddenly out of nowhere shut down for almost 2 months, and there was no clarity on the refunds. Everybody was cash strapped, and while a lot of interventions were taken up by the government as well, it was a complete chaotic situation at all levels, and there were a lot of costs which are already there in this market, which you can't just do away with. Even if whether you travel or not, you still have to maintain an aircraft for the airline. Even if people don't travel through the airport costs are still there. Travel agencies, on the other hand, still have people to cater to, and basically it's a very thin margin business. So when it comes to complete shutting down across all the multiple countries, so generally what happens is one country in which you're operating gets impacted, the other country still survives, and you can balance your businesses across the countries. But over here, this was a global pandemic, and when such things happen at a global level, it's completely out of the way, and which you just have to ensure that you have enough cash reserves to maintain yourself, and you have to deal with it. I mean, like, not much can be done in this case.
Absolutely, and you rightly mentioned, there was so much of uncertainty, and customer care at any travel company, is the first responder to any complaints and criticism. So, you are also at the receiving end of backlash, and it is almost impossible to escape any of it without you're burning your fingers. How does it really differentiate in this regard from your rivals or other players in this sector?
Since we're talking about pandemic, was that
Hmm.
how do we get people to work from office, right? Fortunately, we are a cloud-based technology company. Most of our systems are all cloud-based. So moving technology from a premise base to home base was not a big challenge. But the infrastructure movement from the premises to home was a bit of a challenge. So while we were able to switch the technology within few hours, when the pandemic, I mean, when everything started shutting down, it took us almost 3 4 days to get the systems back to their place, right? Because people didn't know how to manage in that situation. There was no transportation available. There were containment zones, and in that we had to have a central repository of all the rules and regulations which multiple airlines across the globe. So it's not like we only manage domestic, right? Domestic is one major part of what we manage, but majority which gets impacted, which is more of a high value transaction, is the international travel. And there are
Hmm.
people who have already traveled the first leg of their journey. They are stuck in the other country. They don't know how to come back. They don't know, I mean, what's going to happen with the ticket. There is no clarity on that. And basically, everybody decides that there won't be any refund. You can reschedule the ticket, but nobody knows when the market is going to open, when are the countries going to open their borders, right? So it becomes a very tricky situation to manage customer expectations over here. So what we did at our end, especially when this everything kicked in, we developed a repository of all the regulations, all the routes, all the airlines, and depending on when the travel was scheduled, when was it booked, because they were, I mean, it was not a standard logic that okay, if you cancel, you get this, right? Unlike in the normal scenario, it was like if you've done a booking before X date, this rule applies. If you've done the booking after this date, that rule applies. And for normal customer service executive to even remember or even to read this becomes a very difficult task. So we got that into an environment which is easily accessible, not just for us, but even for our customers. Because what happens in this situation, there's a panic which is created, and
Correct.
people just want to have answers, and everybody wants to call and get answers. Now, there was one way what we observed was that okay, everybody's going to come online and going to call us. Why not we enable everything online? Of course, it was a difficult situation. This was the first time everybody was working from home, and getting everybody together from a tech side, from a fulfillment side, from a customer service side, getting the logics in place, and the logic was changing every week. So it's not that you have one rule and which will be there for next 2 months. Airlines, depending on the situation in the market and the country, were coming up with new rules, which was like a jigsaw puzzle to solve. But yeah, it was a tough time. But yes, whatever we could do online, we ensured we did it online itself. There was a time where suddenly, because everything was work from home, the voice quality of the calls started dropping because of the intermittent internet bandwidth. And these were very elementary things which we had never thought about actually, because nobody thought that it can be so bad, right? And
Correct.
working from home for few days is one thing. Working from home for few months is a completely different ballgame altogether.
Things continue to remain uncertain, when it comes to travel. I mean, I don't know whether I should book a ticket for, the Christmas and the New Year holidays or not, because, I don't know what's next in the pipeline. So, and sometimes you say prevention is better than cure. So, in such a uncertain situation, what is the best approach, that Cleartrip follows when it comes to customer service?
Yeah, so I mean, valid and a very apt question in the current situation, Shibani. Uh, while making travel simple has always been the approach, being nimble and bringing in flexibility in the way our customers book their journeys has also played an important role in our business, especially since we're talking about the current times when booking is easy, as you rightly said, that whether you can book or not, I mean, whether you should book or not. But traveling on the same date of being booked is dependent on the changing pandemic rules. So what we have done is we've got a very nice product in the market which is called as Easy Cancel. and this is offered to all of our customers, and it is at a very attractive price. So what happens is you can actually pay a bit more than your actual booking value. It's a easy cancel, and if you cancel the flight before the stipulated time period, you basically we ensure the entire booking value. So what we have done is we have basically taken away the anxiety at the time of booking, and at the same time it's all automated, so even if he cancels there is no manual intervention in this. So a lot of times people say that okay, you offer all these products but there's manual intervention, it might take more time to get full refund, but it doesn't work like that. It works on a fully automated platform, and as long as you cancel it within the stipulated time, you cancel, you get a full refund. We upfront show you that okay, because you have selected this, you're going to be getting a full refund of your original booking value. So, and this has been one of the best products in the recent times, and it's an amazing one right now.
Okay, Nikhil, also share with us what do you think are the key challenges with respect to customer service that Indian travel portals face, and what do you think can be done to tackle them?
So the major one is there's a lot of dependency on the supplier side, and what happens in this industry is while online portals will go one notch up to deliver the right kind of user experience, the final booking experience, it still is dependent on the last mile service provider. Now, what happens at the airport, and how can we have a better, I wouldn't say control, but at least intervene in that kind of experience is something which we always feel that there is a gap over there. Now, there is one thing which the supplier end will communicate to the customer. There's something which sometimes doesn't get communicated to the portal, and there's always a miscommunication sometimes, which actually takes a very simple issue and makes it a very big one. So, I think because we have so many airlines and so many different platforms, in the olden days there used to be one platform and all the airlines used to be on the same platform, so communication between the airlines and the travel agencies used to be very seamless, and there were very specific codes on which everybody used to operate. But with the new era wherein you have direct connectivity with all these airlines, they're not on one single platform, everybody has their own APIs, and there is no single line of communication or a simple way to actually solve for every problem. And every problem has a resolution in this industry, because either you travel or you don't travel. If you travel, it's an ideal trip for anyone, right? I mean, but if you don't travel, there are multiple possibilities for which you need answers for. And to a large extent it is a very very well documented industry, but it becomes sometimes that it becomes too process oriented and less customer service oriented. So what we where we come into picture is okay, what is that flexibility which we can bring in to make this more simple? Because being simple has always been our motto, and we built all our tools basis that simplicity as the main motto.
And are there any tech interventions that we can look at being implemented at Cleartrip.com that will make this entire customer experience seamless and optimized?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, see, I mean, we seldom call ourselves as a travel company. We call ourselves as a technology company itself. And the first thing when we come up with any feature or product, we come up with the FAQ document, and we try and see that okay, all the departments actually have to sign off. This is a process, or this is an approach which we take, that where do you see that technology can help, wherein manual intervention is less, and even if manual intervention is there, where can the technology enable the human being to take the right decisions? So first is only, I mean, like if just to give you a number, I mean, like only 15% of the customers actually reach out to me for support. So a majority of our focus goes in enhancing his booking experience itself. Educating the customer at the time of booking is very, very important in this industry, because if you want to ensure that his experience post booking is seamless, he is well aware of all the facts about his booking, what happens if he cancels, how much refund he should be expecting when he can, if at the time of booking itself I can give him that information, and how can I help him reduce his burden in case if he cancels, right? All this information is very, very important, and that is all about technology. Now, maximum things which we want our customers also to do is self-service. I mean, I'm sure all brands want their customers to get self-service. But are we building the right tools which can be used by all our customers, or are we building the tools which can be used only by tech-savvy customers? So when we build a tool, we ensure that a 10-year-old also can do a cancellation and an 80-year-old also can do an amendment to that booking. And once they certify, and we have been doing that, so as, and this has been our best practice for all these years, that okay, it should not be like only one set of customers should be able to do it. Anybody should be able to do it with a very simple way. And in case they are not able to do it, we should be there to help you out. So that's the way we have approached it using technology.
Okay, and also share with us some of the learnings from the past 2 years that will probably define the way customer service will function in the future at Cleartrip and at in this travel industry at large.
Sure. In fact, what has changed in the past 2 years, I would say, is uh, the definition itself has moved from customer expectations management to delight, and because everybody needs delight at this point of time, right? I mean, like, and when it comes to delight, one has no limits to what they can deliver. And as a department, we can never say that is there something which we could have done better to avoid this issue, and how likely is the customer going to come back after the resolution is provided. So these are the major questions which we keep asking ourselves. And a simple change from measuring customer satisfaction score, which is CSAT, to now measuring NPS, which is the net promoter score, itself is a true change in the way we have been looking at our business, right? Because what we saw that, okay, we have been able to solve proactively or reactively at that particular issue, but are we ensuring that the customer is delighted to promote us as a brand? Will he come back to me after few months or few weeks to come back and book because he had a great experience? Are we able to delight? And delight doesn't always mean that I have to compensate, because there's very less compensation involved in delighting. It is more to show that we care, we empathize, and we understand that there is a problem, we are there to solve for you. And that is one thing wherein we have a connect with the customer. We have a very good repeat customer base, and people have loved us for the last 15 years. And there are customers whom we keep talking to. We take a lot of feedback from our old customers who have been our evangelists. And one thing they're very, very clear is that Cleartrip is a very, very clear company, very transparent one. And these are the buzzwords which we bank on, and these are the words which we want to continue our journey forward as well.
Okay, and also, what are your predictions about this entire change in customer care services in the travel and hospitality industries? In the coming years, considering there is one new variant after the other that mutates every few months.
So there is a lot which we should be looking forward to. In fact, there is one thing which wherein technology can enable us to take the right decisions without actually uh, putting like manual intervention every now and then, right? So as long as we have the right kind of information readily available with us, which we already do, we have a lot of APIs which we have connected with multiple websites across the globe, which keep feeding the system about the current rule in particular city. If you're traveling from X city to Y city, and all you have to do is just enter those details, and you get all the information about being, I mean, like quarantine rules, RT-PCR rules, vaccination rules, and it's a real time update. So technology is the enabler, but how you showcase it and how well you can communicate with the customer. So getting into WhatsApp level conversations, information for the customer should be readily available. You should not be going in search of that information. So that is where we are looking forward to ensure that, okay, if there is a problem, he should not be worrying about how do I contact, how do I get this information. In fact, in your own, a lot of these WhatsApp groups I'm part of, and people keep asking questions that I am coming from Mumbai to Bangalore, and have the rules changed, right? Now, these are the questions which actually make us think that, okay, he's booked on a particular or with the travel agency. Why is it that he has to ask a question separately on a group? Why is it that information not made available to him at the time of booking? Or after his booking also, is there a way for him to immediately fetch that information?
Correct.
So ready availability of information is the key, and correct information is also the key, because there are a lot of speculations. So people say that I came from Mumbai yesterday, nobody checked. Now this is a very funny statement, right? I mean, like, because everybody knows when you're coming to a city via airport, you're bound to be checked, but one person making this statement can actually change the entire thing. So getting that information made available and correct information is the key.
Absolutely. That was Nikhil Godbole, Vice President Customer Care at Cleartrip.com, sharing his predictions and insights about changes in the customer care services in the travel and hospitality sector in the coming days. Thank you for watching Haptik Customer First. Goodbye.